2, 1.
Welcome to Made for More Living.
One small step for man.
With Johnny Jennings.
Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
The fastest and most exciting hour of news, events, and real estate in Northern California.
And this is a fact that was proved.
Powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Get ready. Here we go.
Matt, so like everybody typically, you think, okay, a real estate lender, I know what they do. Mm-hmm. Realtor, I think I know what they do. But most people, do you know what an escrow officer does in a real estate transaction?
I've gone through escrow when I purchased my house, and they gave me like an encyclopedia full of paperwork to fill out and sign. I know that's what they do. They give us a lot of paperwork to sign, right?
They do. So amongst many, many other things. And so to talk to us about all things escrow is Margaret Harris with Chicago Title. So
hey.
Thanks for being on the show, Margaret.
Thank you for having me.
So
is that true though? You guys make people do a lot of paperwork?
They do all the paperwork.
Back in the day when I bought my house,
we do it.
It was all regular. It was like paper. Do you still have to do it paper, or can you do it all digitally now?
You still have to do paper.
Isn't that interesting?
Unless it's a cash sale, then we can do DocuSign.
But why does it all have to be actual paper? Why can't everything's digital now? Like all the contracts I do here at the radio station.
Aren't they moving towards like digital notaries and stuff like that?
They are, yes. California is just not on board yet.
It's a California thing.
It's state.
Can
by
they do
state.
it in Texas? Do you know if they can do it in Texas?
I believe so.
Oh my gosh!
Of
all
course
right.
they can.
See, there you go.
Here we
Another
go.
reason to move to Texas.
Another reason to
Dallas.
move.
Johnny
Dallas. I'm not a Texas fan.
Yeah, he hates it.
You like Texas?
I'm a
Margaret?
Cowboys fan.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's
right.
horrible.
Here we go.
Especially this year.
Oh, great.
I'm
I know.
a 49ers fan though, so it's worse for
Same
us.
boat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So
you guys must have just ginormous filing cabinets then to keep all of those papers.
No, because really we get the paper from the lender, and so we do everything usually digitally.
Oh, gotcha.
And then once we get the documents back that are signed, we send them to the lender so they keep everything.
That's a lot.
We usually
of
have it for a short period.
it's so much paperwork. So honestly, realtors have a tough job. 90% of realtors quit in 5 years, but I think escrow officers may have a harder job.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Their turnover couldn't be that low.
No.
It's not that.
No.
It's not that.
It's a love-hate relationship.
But it is like.
Why?
So they're the hub of the transaction. Like everything goes to them. All the lender documents, all the county documents, all the contracts, everything goes through them. And they are oftentimes the scapegoat. If I'm going to blame somebody, I'm going to blame Margaret.
It's true.
Really? Wow.
He doesn't usually blame me, but
No, I don't.
Some people do.
Yeah, but they're an easy person to blame because, like, why do you think you guys get
Well, because
blamed?
we deal with everybody, and nobody wants to place it on their relationship with the realtor or the lender. So, it's escrow. We'll just blame them.
We'll just blame them. They're the scapegoat, right?
So are you saying sorry a lot? Have you learned to do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry this happened, and I don't blame anybody else because, it's just not what we do. We're a team.
Good for you. See,
Yeah.
you got to have that kind of temperament and perspective in order to do what she does.
Absolutely.
I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it either. It's way too much. Like just the paperwork, the details. The prelims. So there's a preliminary title. So one of the things we do as soon as we get a listing is we pre-open escrow with you, right, Margaret? Mm-hmm. Can you outline what that looks like? Well, what does it mean when somebody pre-opens an escrow?
So when you pre-open escrow, usually you guys send us a listing agreement because you have a seller that wants to sell their home and they have signed an agreement with you. And so we will then order the preliminary title report, which shows you everything that's the liens against title, how vesting is held, what needs to be cleared.
Yep.
So we like to be proactive with us and make sure that we have all of the liens taken care of, make sure if somebody's dead or if they're in a trust or there's a probate, that we want to get that cleared prior to you guys getting a contract. Or that they can actually
sell the home?
Yeah, make sure that they're the person that is able to sell the home before you guys get in a contract.
Yeah, so for example, we just had a situation come up recently where this other agent referred this client to me and said, hey, I'm too busy, I got some stuff going on, you work this lead, they got a lot going on. And I won't get into all the details, but essentially come to find out, we pre-opened escrow with you, and it was like, there's a cloud on the title, meaning this person's not really the one that can sell it, and we're unsure.
Correct.
And so it ended up becoming a thing. And so, but if we hadn't pre-opened escrow with you, then we could have maybe opened up an escrow, had a buyer, have everybody, ready to go, and then go, oh, we can't do this right now.
Yeah.
So that's why we do the pre-open escrow.
Absolutely.
But you see, what is it? 18 deals a year is what 98% of realtors do. Like it's very, very few do more than 18 deals a year. How many files would you say you do in a given year on average?
So I probably do 15 to 30 a month.
Okay.
With a mix between, and I would say 90% resale, 10% refis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so why I'm asking you that, though, is because you see a lot. Like, you see a whole lot more than what your typical age. And you've been doing this, 2 years now, 3 years?
It's been 20.
20 years. Actually,
This year.
I was thinking about this morning. You have been working with Valerie and I. Like, you're our longest standing vendor relationship outside of our transaction coordinator.
That's exciting.
When it was it 2018? I think it was late 18, maybe early 19, somewhere in there.
Was it? I
It
thought
had
maybe
to-
17.
No, definitely 18 because
okay.
we didn't move up here till 18.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So then 18, 19.
yeah. So that
Feels like it's been forever.
we've closed a lot of deals together.
Yes.
Yep.
And some great ones.
And some great ones. Speaking of some deals, let's talk about the power of attorney story. The one that happened with the mom.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you mind sharing? So this will give you a good idea, Matt, kind of like what Margaret does.
Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah. So we had a sale that was in contract, and the owner was the mom, and she was pre-dementia. So with that,
gotcha, okay.
the daughter had a power of attorney, but the power of attorney was 10 to 13 years old. So
wow.
we had to get
Have you
under-
ever seen something like that before? The
This
power
was my
of-
first one because it was actually the husband was the original power of attorney, but he passed away ages ago.
Yeah.
And then she was a second in line for the power of attorney.
And who's this young girl?
Her daughter.
It's her daughter. And she's not a young girl. She's probably like 60.
Yeah. So, and mom was, older, obviously.
Mom was old.
Well, and they had no other options but this young girl?
Well, she wasn't young, but it was
10
her
to
daughter.
13? 10 to 13?
No, years ago, 10 to 13 years ago.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I
the
thought
power of attorney.
the power of attorney was this 10-year-old girl.
10-year-old.
That's illegal.
Okay, that's where I was confused. Okay, gotcha.
You have to be 18
I
to
was
sell a property.
10 years old power of attorney. Okay, Barbie gets this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, but what happened is the power of attorney was questionable.
Yeah, because of the age of it. So we had to have a conversation with the mom to confirm that she was aware that the daughter was going to use the power of attorney and sign on her behalf. The mom lived with the other daughter. And so the daughters didn't really get along. So the daughter that had the power of attorney had to make sure she was able to drive up to the mom to have the conversation because the other daughter wasn't willing to get involved or something like that.
Yep.
So in the end, we weren't able to use the power of attorney because I had a conversation with the mom, and she didn't seem at that time like she was aware. Like she questioned a few things. So I went back to my underwriter. We talked about it. We said, well, we need to get the mom in here to sign in our office.
I think we tried getting doctor's notes, and then the doctor note wouldn't say, hey, she's not so far gone that she needs a power of attorney.
Yep.
And then, so now we're like in this catch-22. Well,
That was it, yeah.
We have an old power of attorney. Mom's not necessarily entirely with it, but not gone far enough where the doctor's going to sign off on it. And then what ended up happening?
So we ended up having to have her come into the office to sign with one of our trusted, notaries that we pre-approve, which was one that I've been working with for almost 20 years. And she was able to sign. It caught mom on a good day, and we were able to close escrow.
Boom. And then we sold.
And we sold it. And everybody was happy.
Everybody was happy. But that one also had solar on it.
And that was a nightmare too.
So we've had some solar guys on the show before, and I've never seen a deal necessarily not go through because of the solar. Have you ever seen a deal not go through because of solar? Like, can it be a deal killer?
It can be, but if the buyer is impatient and wants to close and we don't have what we need, I haven't seen it happen. I've seen all they've seen is them get delayed.
Okay, that's what I've experienced too.
Yeah.
So if there's solar on the property, as soon as that escrow is opened, right, we probably need to like pre-opening escrow, like the listing agreement is signed. Early on in the process of selling that home, we need to start reaching out to the solar company.
But we can't. We have to have the buyer. We have to have information. Most solar companies will not give us any information until we have a buyer in contract.
It's such a pain. But what
That's crazy.
with this situation specifically with the power of attorney, the daughter didn't have the solar information, so we didn't even know who to reach out
Wow.
to. So that's what I'm like, if you are selling the home, make sure you have that information, so when the time does come, we're ready to reach out, rather than now we're burning days. And we
Right.
don't know, and we're still looking for who to contact, who owns the solar, because sometimes these solar companies have been sold.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so who you
Oh my gosh.
who you bought it with is different.
Yeah. And a lot of the solar companies won't even talk to escrow these days. The seller has to initiate it or the buyer has to initiate it.
Can they do the handoff though, and then you can, like, if they say, "Hey, I'm selling the property. Here's my escrow officer."
Nope.
Oh, they won't even do that.
No. I did just have one situation where it was an older couple seller that had solar, and he's like, I don't know who the solar company is. I don't have a password for the account. I don't know how to get in. So I was
Yep.
on the phone with him, and I was like, well, give me your information. Let's see what we have. We can reset your password. And so he gave me permission via email to go ahead and log into his account, reset the password, and I was able to go in there on behalf of the seller and input all the information, and then got the solar
Oh,
transfer
good for
started.
you. See, that's smart.
Which was amazing, but like, as an escrow officer, I've never seen that side of it. So now I know what to expect and what I can tell the sellers.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's easier just give us your information and let us do it.
That's smart, actually. Yeah.
That's why I'm asking these questions, because I don't even know. I'm like, just handle it, Margaret, please.
And I do.
And you do every single time. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of transactions. But there's also, what was the other story? Oh, yeah. The Three Sisters story.
Yes.
This is one that Valerie and I, we sing Margaret's praises from the rooftop because of this story. So can you share a little bit about what happened with these three sisters?
So to start off, I'm a little bit of a detective, but we had this pre-open. It was three sisters that were on title, and one of the sisters was MIA. They couldn't get in contact with her. She was off the grid. They also didn't get along.
Yeah. They
So-
had disowned her. She disowned them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But technically, there was a deed that was done where she was already removed, but because it wasn't done through an insured escrow transaction, as an underwriter, we require an affidavit from that person saying that they signed that deed and there's no money owed with the sale of this property. So knowing that we're not able to find her or get in contact with her, our underwriter allowed us to see if we can contact the notary who did the signing, get a copy of her book where she signed the book.
Wait, let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
What's the difference between insured and uninsured? Why would somebody go with an uninsured?
Well, because
situation?
an attorney does the deed for them, and it's not done through an insured escrow transaction. See, we do background checks. We run names, we make sure there's no liens, make sure that it's not fraudulent. So an attorney can do it. You can do a grant deed, removing yourself or adding someone to title. Anybody can do it.
But
you
then
just take it to the county to record.
But then at some point, if they want to use a title company, they're going to run into this issue.
Correct. Every
Okay.
time. Yep.
So it's faster, but it's not long term. It just go through the title company.
Yes and no. I mean, because I understand the situations sometimes where they need to be done or people want them to be done. But then when you go to sell, just be prepared that you're going to have an affidavit signed by that person. It's not something that gets recorded. We just want it for our records, confirming that they did actually sign that and release enough
Just
us
protecting
of any
you.
liability.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
got it. So the two sisters are trying. I think it was a piece of land. Was it land? Or
Yeah,
was it?
yeah. It was vacant land.
It was just a piece of land. And then the one sister, we don't know who she is. We know who she is. We don't know where she is. We can't get a hold of her. This family can't get a hold of her. Nobody knows. But Margaret was able to, through your detective skills.
So I went on Google, I went on social media, I went to the National Notary Association trying to find this notary's information, and she was no longer a notary in the area where we were.
Okay.
So I found her on social media. I found a couple names. And so I messaged 3 different people on social media. And finally, this one reached out to me and she's like, yeah, that was me. I did the notary. And I was like, oh, amazing. Do you still have your book? Because we need a copy of it. And she goes, oh, no, I turned it into the county. Because as a notary, if you're not a notary in that county anymore, you can turn your books in.
Okay.
You can't throw them away. They have to be somewhere kept for eternity.
Really?
So either you keep them or you turn them into the county. Yes. Yeah. So she had to go to the county and request a copy of that page.
Oh, she did that for you.
And yep. And I think it was a $10 fee that she had to pay. So we ended up paying that through escrow, paying her back. And she was able to get it to us. So, I mean, I think it took a week and a half maybe from the beginning of finding out that we needed this to being able to locate her and get it done.
Yeah, I just remember I was like, Valerie, this is a piece of land. It's never going to sell. What? There's a buyer for it? Oh, crap. there's this third sister that won't, like, who doesn't, the sisters, just so everybody's aware, the sisters were willing to walk away.
Yeah.
Like they said, we don't want the couple $100,000, whatever it was. We don't want it. We'll walk away rather than talk to our sister.
Yeah.
Like that's how
They were in tears
That's how bad it
about
was.
it. Yeah. About having to try and
But that's
find
what makes
her.
you an amazing escrow
You know what we're
officer.
going to do? We're going to get Margaret a little red Ferrari, and we're going to call her Margaret P.I. and play this theme song.
Valerie loves that show.
I love it. Let's do
Margaret P.I.
Margaret
Yeah.
P.I.
Little red Ferrari running
I'll take
around,
it.
solving crimes and figuring out what's going on with people in their homes and their crazy families.
it. One request. Can we make it blue?
There you go.
A blue Ferrari.
Blue Ferrari.
Cowboy blue.
Cowboy
Watch
blue.
it on
There you go.
Netflix. Coming up.
But that, I mean, that would have been a done deal. So the sisters would have been out, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Valerie and I would have gotten paid. Like the deal would have died.
That's the
if Margaret-
big issue.
if
Yeah.
Margaret-
You don't get Johnny paid.
We
There's
gotta,
problems.
we gotta get paid so I can run those radio ads with Matt over here.
Right. But the fact that they were willing to walk away, like it broke my heart. So I was like,
Yeah.
let me see what I can do. We will figure this out.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yep, and you did it. And it just blew my mind that you're detective. I just remember getting the text. Valerie's like, Margaret found her. She found her. Like it was like a missing persons thing. Margaret found her. So, but when we come back, we're going to be talking about an amazing another story about a cash sale where you were not communicating at all verbally. And so it's an interesting one. So we'll be back after this.
So are you finally ready to move out of state, or maybe you're looking to upgrade or downsize? Whatever your situation, Johnny Jennings can make the process super easy and simple. In fact, they'll get you at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. No need to do showings or organizing or staging or all of those costly repairs. Just reach out to Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. There's a reason why they've been voted #1 team in Roseville for the past 3 years, why they have more than 800 five-star Google reviews. So if you're looking to transition into a new type of living space, whether it's moving out of state, bigger home, smaller home, Johnny Jennings can help. Just Google Made for More Realty and Johnny Jennings today and get more for your home.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Margaret, we were just talking off the air about pre-opening escrow, and Matt, you had some questions about that. I thought everybody did this, but apparently not all agents pre-open escrow. This blows my mind.
So first, let's clarify for those that are listening and are not aware of that jargon. What does pre-open mean?
Yeah.
A pre-open is when you guys have a seller, realtors have a seller, and they're ready to want to put the property on the market, and then they send us the information to get it open to order the preliminary title report.
Mm-hmm.
So this way we can see, again, what's on title, who owns it, make sure we have the right people signing the listing agreement, the contract, and that way everything's ready when you do get into contract.
That's smart.
So we call it a pre-open.
Yeah.
So it's being proactive.
Right.
Clearing everything before we get into contract. So that way if we have a quick close coming up, we have everything ready and we're ready to go.
There you go.
So that's that's one of the reasons why we're able to close so quickly on many of these deals, because much of the legwork has been done in advance, either for the underwriting if they're getting a loan. So that's with the JJ Mack team, like they're fully underwritten, right? Or if or whether it's pre-opened if it's an escrow deal.
Yeah.
So I tried calling Valerie a while ago, and she never answers the phone.
It's only from you. She always answers my calls.
She always answers.
Me too.
And she'll answer Margaret's call.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is a
She
true-
dreads my calls though.
So let's see if this works. Hey Valerie, we're on the radio show.
Oh, did she call?
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Hey, so we're here with Margaret Harris, and I was trying to remember the story about the one that the people were in their U-Haul and they were traveling, and she was able to get it closed really quickly. It was years ago. Do you remember that one?
How long ago was it, you think?
Maybe 2018, 2019.
She's not going to remember.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like she's
That
typing.
one, well, I am driving, yeah, but
And
Wait a minute. Typing and driving.
Wait a minute.
Oh, gosh. Hang up the phone.
No,
I don't know what you want me to say.
it's fine. It's fine. I
He was just
I
trying
didn't
to
know if you
remember
remember.
the
I was
story.
trying to remember it anyways. But there's been two people who Valerie is like, do not, because I like, trying new things and testing things out. And she's like, and we're always hit up by other reps and other escrow officers saying, hey, please bring your business we'll do a great job. And Valerie has been like, Johnny, do not mess with Margaret. Margaret is fantastic. Is that right, sweetheart?
Yeah.
We love you, Val.
And my TC. Those are the two people you can't take away.
Yep. Margaret and the TC. All right, sugar, drive safe.
No more typing.
Bye.
So that's how good Margaret is. But man, where were we running with that? So the pre-open, it's done. We're able to close quickly, and you're able to see all these things up front. But like sometimes there's you pre-open and then you enter into the transaction, and you don't really know what that buyer's all about as an escrow officer. If you don't really know, and that's kind of what happened to you with this cash deal, right?
Yeah.
Like so walk us through that. The agent was representing both the buyer and the seller. This was not us, by the way. This is somebody else.
Yeah, it was a new agent to me.
Okay.
And it was our first deal together.
Oh boy.
And it was a cash sale, and it was, I want to say, like a 14-day close.
Okay.
And he was representing both the buyer and the seller.
That's a red flag to me. I don't like that. Do you like it when agents do that, or is it not a big deal to you?
This situation made me not like it.
Okay.
So I think this was one of my first situations where I had the agent representing both sides.
Okay.
And it's sketchy. So,
Yeah, and because what ended up happening?
Because the agent is supposed to have the best interest for both buyer and seller. And in this situation, we had gotten into contract with a cash buyer who lived out of state but was down here visiting and wanted to buy the property.
Okay.
Him and his girlfriend, I think it was. And we had the earnest money deposit that is due in 3 days after the contract is, accepted. And I couldn't get the earnest money deposit. So I was, emailing, trying to call, leaving messages. The buyer would only respond via email. I would never talk to him on the phone.
That's weird.
Yeah, that was sketchy
That's a
as
red
well.
flag,
Yeah, agreed.
And that's what makes me mad about. So you're doing necessarily that buyer's agent's job or that listing agent's job. Where's the MD? Where's the MD? Where's the MD? If somebody doesn't submit the MD within a certain period of time, like okay, we're gonna be following up. We're gonna be following up with that buyer's agent. We're gonna be following up with the lender. We're like, what the heck's going on here? And we're also going to at some point submit a notice to perform. Right? Like let. If you can't provide the EMD, how are you going to provide, like the EMD is typically 1%. If you can't provide 1%, how are you going to pay for the rest of the house?
Exactly.
That's a huge red flag. So no EMD, it's a quick close, it's a 14-day escrow, you can't get a hold of the buyer. What ended up happening?
Well, I reached out to the agent to find out, where's the EMD. And at this point, I think this was day 5. So it was due day 3. So we were on day 5.
Yeah.
And I had been emailing and calling, the agent as well. And so he finally got back to me and said, we're just going to do an addendum saying that the EMD is going to come with the closing costs. So when the buyer brings in their closing funds, then the EMD would be included. So
how often do you see that?
Very rare.
Yeah, that sounds
very rare.
That sounds stupid.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen it a couple times with like family sales, which, understandable, I guess, but
I'm like,
it's still sketchy.
Yeah.
Like I still want that money in escrow. I mean, that's my job as well to make sure that you guys have everything you need for the contract.
Yep.
So in the end, the seller called because he wanted to sign his closing documents. So we got him signed, and it was a few days later. I was trying to get the buyer to sign, sent everything via DocuSign, didn't view it, didn't open it. I'm calling the agent. What's going on? And so the buyer was basically MIA. He wasn't responding to emails, phone calls again.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so the seller called and wanted to cancel the transaction and wanted to, find out how to get the EMD back. And that's when I had let him know. I said, well, we don't have an EMD. Your agent said he was working on an addendum that was going to waive that. So it just came with the closing funds. Oh, that big red flags. I mean, the seller was
livid.
Absolutely. I mean, with me, with the buyer, with the agent, with everybody.
Because it made it look like you were working for the agent.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're the neutral third party. I'm at the benefit of everybody. I want to make sure everybody's taken care of and protected. And so in this situation, I let the agent know what was going on. The seller ended up canceling, ended up letting the agent go, and went with another agent and sold the house to another buyer eventually.
Crazy.
Yeah. I did some research also on the buyer because after this happened, I was like, this is
Margaret
sketchy.
P.I.
Here we go
showing
again.
up in her blue Ferrari.
So I did some research and I found, the buyer's names in different states with fraud cases.
Okay.
So I probably should have done that first, or the agent should have. But, either way, it was a sketchy situation.
Man, that's horrible.
Yeah. And now I'm very leery when I have an agent representing both sides. Now I want to make sure that the buyer and seller are both aware of what's going on as well.
You bring up a good point, though, about the EMDs. Like, there's a lot of misconception around how that works. Most sellers think it's like non-refundable. If they back out, I'm getting my money. And that's not at all the case. What ends up actually happening is, it has to be released and it has to be approved by both the buyers and the sellers, right? In order for that the EMD to be released to whoever. Mm-hmm. If it's not approved by both parties, what happens to it?
It can go to litigation. So you guys on your side, the agents would have to take care of that. And we'll hold the money in escrow until we have approval from either an attorney or, again, from the buyers and sellers confirming that, it can be released and who it needs to be released to.
Yeah, because we were working with an investor. This was a property out in Antioch. It was like a one-off. They just knew us and they wanted us to represent them on the sale. And he would not release the buyer's deposit because the buyer had gone so far, like they wasted his time, and so he was being kind of spiteful, and he would not sign the release. And then we circled back a couple of years later, and he had still not signed the release, and it was like for $5,000. And so they were like, "Do we go the legal route because it's not a whole lot of money, and we don't have?" It was like a first-time home buyer. It was a rough situation for the buyer, but I just thought that was a little bit spiteful that he wouldn't even just
release it.
We sold the house to somebody else, and he still would not sign the release.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's just mean.
Yeah, it is. That's when you guys have to get involved with your attorneys.
Oh gosh.
We're just here holding the money.
Man, I used to be I'm still terrified of attorneys, but it's the more you deal with them, the less scary they are.
Absolutely.
So, anyways,
and they're learn their language.
And they're good people too.
Absolutely.
Some of them aren't, but some of them are.
Right.
So you got
it's everywhere.
But hey, so we've been telling some scary stories. Oh, one last thing too. Something that's really great that I love that Chicago does is if the address, like if the seller's address, their mailing address is different than the physical address, there's some special security checks to avoid fraud that you go through. Would you mind explaining like how you send that stuff out?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of title companies are doing that now. The last
I'm trying to sell them on Chicago.
I'm sorry. I'm just, because of all the fraud that's going on.
It's a problem.
It's protection.
Yeah, I've heard that there are folks that are going and stealing titles. Title theft.
Yes, that is correct. This is why we do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the situation is if the seller has a different address from the property address on the tax records and the property is free and clear, so they don't have any liens on title, then we send out a letter to that address to the seller to confirm that they are actually selling the property. So I've had sellers call in and say, "Hey, I'm not selling this property." In the past.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know who signed the contract. I don't know why somebody's opening escrow on this, but that's why we do it. And then also with Chicago, we have to do right before closing or, at the end of the transaction, the seller has to go onto our program online and submit a copy of their ID and take a picture of themselves to confirm a match.
That's smart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it's happening.
It's totally
it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's
these free and clear properties. People are trying to get out from under people.
And so if before title companies were doing this, before these checks were in place, they could show up with a fake ID and sign it over to themselves. And now they're technically the legal holder of this home, and the owner of that home wouldn't even know that unless they went to refinance or sell the home.
Exactly.
They're not even aware that it's been transferred out of their name.
Yeah.
Horrible stuff.
It is scary.
But there's some good stuff too, right?
There are, yes.
You love your job. You've been doing it, 20 years.
Yeah.
Do you have any fun stories, like good stories about, hey, we helped these people and it all ended well?
Absolutely.
All right. What do you got?
Yeah. So I have one it's another cash sale. And both buyers and sellers were in their 70s or 80s. The property was $1 million property,
Wow.
Locally here in Granite Bay area. And the buyers had come in with their earnest money deposit. They're old school, so they brought in a check and they wanted to sit and talk, which I love doing. And so we got to talking and found out that both buyers were recent cancer survivors.
Oh, wow.
I mean, like I said, they're in their 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
So, and also come to find out that the Mrs. buyer it was her first home purchase. Like new home purchase, new appliances, nice and clean, new everything in a nice area. And she was just so ecstatic, and just the light in her eyes and how she talked. And it was just like I mean I have chills right now just thinking about it. Like it's
That's
one
so
of the
cool.
best stories. And then also, I talked to the sellers, and they had relations, or they had family members that knew the buyers that were also cancer survivors. So I think that kind of helped with the the offer.
Yeah,
And this-
because it wasn't the offer lower.
yeah, so that's what it is the buyers came in lower because they couldn't afford, what they were asking. And because of the story, and I think the relationship, that the sellers were like, yes, you guys deserve this home. And it was just, like I said, I tingle just thinking about it. They
That's
were some
special.
amazing people.
So, and you got to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got to make them happy.
Yeah, that was not a situation where everybody's mad at Margaret.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy.
Everybody loved me.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know why they wouldn't love you anyways. I don't understand people get mad at you, but anyways.
They got to blame somebody, like
There
you
you
said.
go. They gotta have somebody to blame.
I'll take the fall.
So Margaret is technically, you work for Chicago Title.
Mm-hmm.
You work with any realtors, right? Or if you just want to go directly to the title company, maybe you have experience and you're not working with a real estate agent, they can reach out to you,
Yeah.
and contract you directly.
Like a for sale by owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or investors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, again, highly recommend Margaret. We've worked with her for years. If you would like to get in contact with her, just go ahead, Google Made for More Realty, check us out, or reach out to us, and we will be able to get you in contact with Margaret. So thank you so much for being on this show. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Real quick, before we get back to the show, if you're looking to sell your home, but you want to do it fast, easy, simple, and want to get the most money possible, reach out to Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. Listen to this. They'll get you at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. That's right. No need to do showings or open houses or stagings or organizing or none of those repairs. 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. Just reach out to Johnny Jennings and Made for More Realty.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Man, I freaking love Margaret.
Yeah.
She's such a room lifter.
I'm telling you, she reminds me of Magnum P.I. Remember the show from the 80s?
Yes.
Him and his little red Ferrari and
Yep.
that amazing theme song. And she just gets to the bottom of those mysteries. She finds the truth. So I'm thinking a Netflix show with Margaret P.I. in her little blue Ferrari,
Yep.
or some kind of reporter that goes to Washington and finds the truth.
You remember that
Margaret
lady?
P.I.
You remember that lady that was on the show a while ago that had a stalker, and she was doing all this?
Yes.
Hey, if you have a stalker, call Margaret. She'll figure it out for you.
Right. And she'll even apply justice in the situation
There
if
you
it's
go.
needed.
If needed.
No judge or law enforcement required.
Man, I used to have long curly hair, and Valerie thought it looked exactly like Tom Selleck's hair.
Wow.
She was so
And that's
bummed out.
why
That's why
you got a date with her.
That's why, yeah. Not only
That's
a date,
right.
that's why she married me.
And oh, really? Were you driving a little red Ferrari?
Curly brown hair. No, wait, what was
Maybe
I
that's
driving?
what did it.
I was driving an old single cab Toyota pickup.
In Dalinga. Or
On
Kalinga.
Kalinga, on
Which, by the
33.
way, you sent me a video of Kalinga. I guess they won the championship in football, right?
Yep. For
High
their
school
division.
football?
Yeah, first time since I think the early 90s, 91.
Wow,
something like
good
that.
for them. Something
Yeah.
to be proud of.
There you go.
Something to put on that sign on the freeway because you had the #1 mascot, right?
Yep, the
Now you
Horn
have
Toad.
the high school football championship.
They're champs, yeah.
Before you know it, they're going to be getting an In-N-Out and a Chick-fil-A,
Oh, man.
and that town is just going to be booming. You want to know the hottest place for real estate in California? Kalinga.
Kalinga, it's an up-and-comer.
Up and comer.
Yep. Man, that's so funny.
And
You
then
remember
your
that.
house where you grew up is going to be like a landmark.
Yeah.
This is the home of Johnny Jennings.
Well, didn't you hear? I think you were telling me that Ronald Reagan's house here in Sacramento.
Yeah, in East Sacramento. It's one of those Tudor
Yep.
houses. And I guess
It's a cool place.
It is. It's very awesome. And I've walked by it and waved
Yeah.
at it.
Yep. I've taken pictures, and gone by, but
I guess nobody's going to live in it now because it's going to be a landmark.
I guess I don't really like that, but whatever.
You don't like it becoming a landmark?
Well, think about being the neighbors. Like that sucks for the neighbors. Like, what
Because
is
then
that?
I would assume they're going to have tours and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, what's that do? What's that do for the neighborhood? Who's maintaining the home? Who's paying for that?
Doesn't it become like a museum?
It can, but I just don't know who's paying for it. Like, who is it? The state or is it the government? Or is
I
it
would assume.
privately?
Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't know. And then, but I'm nothing against Ronald Reagan. He was one of my favorite presidents. But I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of the whole because then
Because it changes the neighborhood. You're right.
It changes, yeah. And
Yeah.
it was a cool house. Like, selfishly, I thought it'd be cool maybe someday to own the home,
Right.
and live there.
But then, okay, but then let's say you do own that home because the Savages who owned the River Cats, they lived in that home for a long time. But let's say you own the home, then you're going to have all these looky-loos who come by your house all the time. And they're like, oh, that's Ronald. And knocking on the door, oh, is this Ronald Reagan's old house? We wanted to look. And so you have to deal with that. So maybe it's a hard home to sell.
Yeah,
you know?
That's a good point too. Yeah, and you already have the looky-loos anyways, like me in your front yard taking a video and a picture, you know?
You've been one of those people.
I've been one of those people, absolutely. But I wonder if Newsom's house in Fair Oaks, because he recently moved, I wonder if his house in Fair Oaks is going to
He moved to, well, no, he's got two homes. He's got property still here in Sacramento, and then he bought that multi-million-dollar estate in Marin County. So he still has, I think he still has his home in Fair Oaks, right?
I don't know.
Or are you working on that deal?
Oh, man. That would be fun. That's a super cool house. Like if you haven't...
In Fair Oaks?
Oh, yeah.
Where in Fair Oaks is it?
I'd have to look it up, but it's down like a cul-de-sac, like a dead-end street, has beautiful views.
Not gated. Is it gated community?
No, I think the property itself is gated, but it's not like a community.
Oh, interesting.
Community. Yeah.
I think he may still live there.
It's Spanish style. I love the Spanish style homes. That is my favorite. Yeah.
That's what's so great about working for the state, you know? You can have multiple properties, you know?
Hey.
Marin County, you know, I just think that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm in the wrong business. I should not be in private industry. I should work for the
government
state.
Work.
Yep. Government
pays.
work. Yep. And the time off. But
we're going to talk about something that really ticks you off and frustrates you.
Yeah. So this is I don't know. This is going to ruffle some feathers.
Hey, that's what we're all about.
But oftentimes, you know, we've said it before on the show, realtors are ranked below
used car salesmen,
lawyers, like people who are typically not held in high regard.
And why is that?
I believe it's because the barrier to entry is extremely low. Extremely low.
Before you even get to that, why does the public look poorly on real estate agents?
Because most of them are pretenders. Most of them do it.
What does that mean?
Like they do it part-time. It's a hobby for them. Like they either have another job or they have a spouse that's supporting them and they don't really need to sell. Like that's not their primary income. Like for me, if real estate is not your primary income. And so that
reflects on how they perform their job?
Yeah. So imagine if you were a hobbyist at radio and you came in an hour every 2 weeks to do some radio.
Like you do.
Like I do. Like I'm a hobbyist at radio.
Sorry.
There you go.
I had to say that.
Oh, man. Below the belt. I'm trying to get on your level here.
No, I'm sorry.
But exactly my point. Like you're really good at what you do because you do it day in and day out.
Right.
You do it full time and you've done it for a long time. If somebody's only doing it part time every now and then, if they're selling one house a quarter, one house a year, and there's a lot of agents out there that are doing that. And that's who the public's interacting with. They're interacting with the pretenders. They're interacting with the people.
And what is that kind of interaction like that gives off that negative?
They never call me back. They don't know what they're doing. They told me this was going to happen and then it didn't. They said they could get this price and then they couldn't. They said they would find me the house and that they would negotiate this for me and it didn't happen. Like it's just.
I'll give you my perspective because I agree with all those points.
Yeah.
They don't seem competent or they seem like they're winging it. Per se.
Yep.
And then that leads to desperation. And you feel like you get a lot of real estate agents that act like they're desperate or they're just trying to sell you. Like they don't know what they're doing and they're just trying to sell you instead of helping you.
Yep.
And I think that's the impression that the public gets from hobbyist real estate agents that you feel like need to be weeded out. Is that going too far?
No, they 100% should not be in the industry. Like they 100 like that's so in order to, I believe.
Because I bet you some people are listening saying that's not fair.
Life isn't fair. I'm talking about what is right for the consumer. That is what I'm focused on. I'm not talking about what's right for the real estate agent. I'm talking about what's right for the consumer. And ultimately, what's right for the consumer will be right for the realtor down the road. So for the person that has made this their profession, that is doing this 40, 50, 70 hours a week, they are going to benefit if all those other part-timers are no longer in the industry creating noise. Like they're recording a TikTok video and they have 300,000 views, but they haven't sold a house. But that's the perception of real estate agents is they think all realtors are like that, and that's not the case. And so in order to do that, my solution is to raise the bar. So it costs less than $2,000. It's about a 3-month process if you go as quickly as possible, 3 4-month process to get your real estate license. So one, you can get your real estate license really quick, and two, it's really affordable. Like, I understand $2,000 is a lot of money, but how much do you have to pay to go to college? How much do you have to pay to become a teacher, to become a doctor, to become an engineer? Way more than $2,000. And the realtors that I interact with, the good ones, are making more money than an engineer, than a doctor, than a chiropractor.
So you think making it more challenging
There needs to be a bar.
in order to get into the industry.
Yeah.
But then, and I'm going to push back, then who's able to become a real estate agent? What type of person?
Somebody that's committed to the industry. Somebody that maybe is in an apprenticeship role, maybe a non-licensed role for a period of time, and then saves up their money and then is able to now become a real estate agent. How is somebody able to become a teacher? How is somebody able to do anything? Like, teachers make way less money than what a realtor can make.
A professional, right? A committed
realtor,
one.
A professional realtor. Like, if you're not making more than $250,000 a year, then you are a pretender in real estate.
Oh, wow. That's
Absolutely.
a big statement.
You are a pretender. Yeah. Or you're working your way up and you're trying to gain that gain that level. But if you've been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years and you're making less than $250,000 a year, then what are you doing? Like, I don't understand. Like, you're not focused full time on the job. You're focused full time on other things, and this is a part-time hobby.
So you think the real estate industry has gone long enough in making it such an easy entry level, or an easy entry into the industry, and it needs to be on par with what teachers have to go through, right?
I think cost is a good barrier to entry. Like, you can't just walk on to a car lot and walk out with a G-Wagon. Right. There's a barrier to entry there.
I would agree that the bar should be raised, but I don't know if it necessarily has to be something financial. I would say maybe education. Maybe it has to be a longer education process, more courses, more certifications that you have to go through.
But then who's pay, that just increases the costs as well.
Yeah.
And then the problem with educational courses. So there is a lot of coursework that's required to become a realtor, but it's all irrelevant. The things that make a real estate agent successful comes down to how knowledgeable they are about the process and their marketing. That's not necessarily taught in the course. And so if let's say you had to get a 4-year degree to become a real estate agent, well, now instead of it being $2,000, it's $60,000, $100,000.
Yeah, I think that would be hard to argue, though, just to make a fee. Like, just, in order to do this, you just have to pay an enormous fee. So
what realtors have to do, and this is oftentimes when people decide to get in and out of the industry, or out of the industry, like exit, because most realtors quit in 5 years, like over 90% quit in 5 years. And what happens is they're not closing any deals, they're doing their regular job, and they're tired of paying these fees. And the fees are typically about $1,000, $1,300 a year, right? And so Valerie and I pay 2 fees, right? One for her, one for me. If you were to jack those fees up to $10,000 a year, all the pretenders overnight are gone. All of them are gone. And that would be my solution, is just jack it up.
And you want to do this because you feel like it would benefit the public in the long term.
It would benefit the consumer, because now there is a barrier, and now the people who are still in the industry are selling, meaning they are helping people buy and sell homes, and you're not getting like, you throw a rock, you hit 3 realtors in a parking lot. Because they're realtors, air quotes, but they're also doing other things. Now, in order to succeed, in order to pay that $10,000 fee every year, you have to be selling houses, or else it's an expensive hobby at that point.
Yeah.
And so that would be my solution, is get rid of the pretenders, jack the fee up to $10,000 a person. You're going to lose 90% of the realtors overnight, but that's okay, because only 10% of the realtors are worth keeping.
Right.
And that would be my solution.
It's an interesting perspective, for sure. Well, what do you guys think? Give Johnny Jennings your perspective. Do you agree with what he's saying, or do you think he's going too far? How can they reach out?
Yeah, so if you want to reach out, you can find us on any of the social media platforms, or you can just reach out at madeformorerealty.com.
So are you finally ready to move out of state, or maybe you're looking to upgrade or downsize? Whatever your situation, Johnny Jennings can make the process super easy and simple. In fact, they'll get you at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. No need to do showings or organizing or staging or all of those costly repairs. Just reach out to Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. There's a reason why they've been voted #1 team in Roseville for the past 3 years, why they have more than 800 5-star Google reviews. So if you're looking to transition into a new type of living space, whether it's moving out of state, bigger home, smaller home, Johnny Jennings can help. Just Google Made for More Realty and Johnny Jennings today and get more for your home.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So Christmas is right around the corner, Matt. Do you guys do a lot of decorating at your house?
Yeah. My wife started decorating October 31st. November 1st. November 1st, bam, she starts decorating. Christmas music.
November 1st.
November 1st. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So before Thanksgiving.
Oh, before Thanksgiving, yeah. Thanksgiving gets 1 day out of the year. Christmas, the rest.
Wow. Now, I'm
we
trying.
Put lights. Every year we try to step it up one. Like we get a new inflatable for the yard.
Are you serious?
Something like that, yeah.
So what are you doing this year? How are you stepping it up this year?
Costco had a big Bluey. Do you know what Bluey is? Bluey is this hit show on the Disney Channel.
Is it the Australian dog?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
If your kids aren't watching it yet, they will any minute. And it's great for adults. Adults love it too. And it's just, they had this giant Bluey inflatable at Costco, and we got it, and it's in our front yard every evening.
So Bluey's the notch up this year.
Yeah. People drive by, it's like, oh, it's Bluey.
People are getting on me because now we have kids, and I think I set up Christmas lights one time.
You're a Scrooge.
Yeah.
You're a Grinch.
Yeah. So this year, right after Thanksgiving, so a family tradition with Valerie's family is right after Thanksgiving, the next day they set up the tree together and they do the decorating and they cook and they typically have what do they call those? Girl Scout cookies. They've saved Girl Scout cookies because Valerie used to be a Girl Scout.
I love it. There you go.
So they eat these special Girl Scout cookies while they're doing all this stuff. And so they did that this year, and I went to the cigar lounge and smoked a cigar and hung out with and did some work stuff. But I think maybe we'll get. I'm hoping I'm gonna. Maybe I'll get Christmas lights up. I don't know.
Oh, you don't have any Christmas lights yet?
Not yet.
Well, hello. Christmas is next week.
I know.
So maybe next year. You know what? And those inflatables are really easy. What would you think about putting up a snowman, a Frosty the Snowman in your front yard inflatable?
See, I'm not a big inflatable guy.
Oh,
I like the classic
like the traditional
lights. I like the classic light. I don't like the dangly lights.
No, don't like the dangly lights.
Yeah.
You like the old school ones from the 60s, like the real bulbs.
Yep.
Right?
I like and so does Valerie. So.
Okay, well, that's cool. You know, you can pay somebody to do that. And you don't even have to store the lights in your garage. You can actually pay a company. They will come out professionally, install the lights, maintain them if anything goes wrong, and then at the end of the holiday season, they come out to your house, take them down, and they'll store them for you. You don't have to lift a finger to do any of that.
It sounds too good to be true. What's the catch?
And then, hey, they have those projectors that just project the lights onto your house.
I'm sorry, I think those are corny too.
Yeah, I didn't like those either.
So, I mean, if you like them,
I'm just trying to help you with the easy way to do
this. I think you found. You got to text me over that info.
Yeah, just have somebody else do it for you.
Yeah. Because I hate putting them up and I hate taking them down.
Yeah, that's the worst. Getting up on that ladder and.
It's always cold, and there's always I wish I was doing something else. So.
You know, there are some homes that have them permanently in.
That's expensive. I looked into that. That is expensive.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like thousands and thousands, maybe about $10,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. You
but
don't
they're there.
The ladder.
I know.
They're year round.
Yeah.
And you can change the color.
Yep. They're LED.
For Halloween, you can change it. For Easter, change it different. 4th of July, red, white, and blue. Come on.
I know. I've thought about it, but I'm like, I'm not willing to spend money on that yet.
Yeah, that's true.
But a lot of people are curious, after the holiday season, what. Because we've talked about, or they're like, hey, a presidential election just happened. That's got to improve the housing market. Interest rates, that's got to change. Something's going to change. And so I recently read an article put out, and what they found was, and this is projections from Fannie Mae, Wells Fargo, and the third one is the Mortgage Bankers Association. And what they found is that at the end of this quarter, end of 2024, their predicting the average interest rate to be 6.67. 6.67. So not in the 5s, not in the 4s, not really dropping. To put that in perspective, not much changing. Okay. At the end of 2025, so now we've gone a full year and some change. They're expecting mortgage rates to be at 6.33.
Really?
Yeah. So you're talking about a 0.3% difference, 0.4% difference in mortgage rates.
See, I would think with Donald Trump in the White House, who comes from real estate, that he would try to make the industry, he'd do something to boost or rejuvenate the industry. I know he does commercial real estate.
Sure.
But still, residential real estate, I think he'd try to figure out some ways to boost the industry, whether trying to push the feds to lower the rates or something. Don't you think?
I don't know. He can't really.
He doesn't have a whole lot of power.
He doesn't have a whole lot of power with the Fed. Yeah. Will something change? So here's what I'm telling clients right now, and because we are starting to see prices slide a little bit. If interest rates stay high, I think prices will soften. If interest rates drop more than 0.3%, I think prices will stay high. That's my prediction. And so if you're in the market right now and you're thinking about selling a home, now might be the best time to sell a home. It might not benefit you to wait another year or two because prices may come down. They've been saying interest rates are going to drop since 2022, and we're rolling into 2025, and they're still high.
Well, they're waiting for inflation to go down.
And inflation's
right?
still a problem.
Yeah.
Like it ticked up with the last time.
Yeah.
Right? And so if inflation continues to be a problem, then interest rates will stay high. And if they do come down, I don't think they're going to come down significantly. We're probably not going to see 2s and 3s.
No, not unless something drastically happens to the economy.
Unless they're trying to really, kickstart it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
But your comment about the president, our local appraiser, Ryan, recently came out with something, and I'll just read the summary from his article. And the summary said, prices don't just do one thing after an election year. So it's not like always after an election year they're bad or good. Rates don't always go down after a presidential election year. On average, sales volume has been stronger locally, but right now there's more to consider because there's the interest rate thing. And the main issue isn't necessarily the election. The main issue is affordability. Do people have jobs that can support these purchase prices?
Yeah.
So that's Ryan's take.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a few years.
Yeah. Either wages are going to have to catch up with the home prices, or home prices are going to drop and fall to affordability.
We'll see. But like I've always heard from many of those in the real estate business and in the stock market, it's a long-term journey.
It is long-term. So, if you're looking to buy a house, it's not what their home's worth today. It's what's it going to be worth 7 to 10 years.
Right.
On average, I can't guarantee it, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to be worth way more money than what it is worth today. Right. So reach out to us. We're happy to have that conversation, run you through a couple different scenarios, make sure it's the best fit for you and the best fit for your situation. Go to madeformorerealty.com.